Okay.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight. We're proud to host this special webinar as part of our commitment to Anthem Memory Care to support families, caregivers, and professionals on the dementia journey. At Anthem, we believe in providing person-centered, purpose-filled care that honors dignity, encourages connection, and supports well-being at every stage of life. It's now my pleasure to introduce tonight's speaker, Sarah Moyer. Sarah is a registered dietitian with over 16 years of experience across many areas of disease management and prevention, though her true passion lies in geriatrics. She currently serves as the lead dietitian for Two Tree Nutrition, a nationwide hospitality-based consulting firm focused on senior living. Through her work, Sarah helps communities bring nutritious, delicious menus to life with the belief that food is not just fuel, but a meaningful part of each resident's day. An active member of the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics and a respected voice on both the RD and Dining Executive Councils, Sarah brings a deep expertise and heartfelt purpose to her work. Tonight, she'll be sharing valuable insights on how dementia progression impacts nutrition and how caregivers can navigate these changes with knowledge and compassion. Please join me in welcoming Sarah Moyer.
All right. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. So we'll get right into it. And of course, if you have questions, feel free to put those in the chat and we'll get to those as we can. First, I'm going to talk about what is dementia. A lot of us know, but it's not necessarily a specific disease. It could be memory loss, difficulty concentrating, problems with language and communication, a misunderstanding of what's going on. It's really just an endless list of symptoms, all resulting from the death of nerve cells in the brain, which are going to cause impairment of intellectual functioning and interfere with the activities of daily living. So dementia can affect adults at any age, but it is more common and more likely to occur as you're aging. Approximately 60% of all extended care admissions in the US have a diagnosis of dementia, and the most common one is Alzheimer's disease. So today we're going to review, recognize, and describe ways to empower you with simple, effective strategies to support proper nutrition and hydration for your loved ones. What can you do to help? So there's a lot of ways to increase a person's appetite and interest in food and drink. Knowing the person and their life history helps so much. Knowing their own needs, their routines, their likes and dislikes. You know, if somebody has never liked peas, now's not the time to start giving it to them. So just knowing and getting to know that person that you're caring for makes a huge difference. Loss of appetite with dementia is very common. It may be due to just forgetting how to chew or swallow. Other reasons for loss of appetite include ill-fitting dentures, insufficient physical activity, even just being embarrassed from the difficulties in eating. So first and foremost, definitely check with the doctor to make sure there are no treatable causes for the loss in appetite. Very common illness with the elderly is urinary tract infections. So if somebody has this, they're going to be uncomfortable. They might have pain, which then in turn will cause them to lose their appetite. So definitely check to make sure that we don't have any acute illnesses that we could be treating. Offering meals at a regular time each day is going to be crucial. Routine is definitely a necessary part of those people with dementia. Allow the person to eat when they're hungry. You know, sometimes if we serve breakfast at 8 a.m., they're not hungry then. Just know that we will have snacks and other items available, maybe at 9 or 10, if they do inform us that they are hungry later. Encourage physical activity. Now, this doesn't have to be strenuous cardio or anything like that. It could be simple, just walking around. You want to provide balanced meals to avoid constipation. What I mean by that is fruits and veggies, lots of protein, lots of fluids. Offer things like ice cream or milkshakes. I'm going to be one of those folks. I could live off of milkshakes and ice cream every day, but just the high calorie, high dense protein, calories, fats, those will help in the situations where they have lost their appetite. Try to prepare foods that are familiar to them, especially foods that are their favorite. So again, developing that relationship with the person, knowing what their preferences are is going to be important during their journey through dementia. Encourage the person to eat all or most of one food before moving on to the next. This doesn't always occur with everybody with dementia, but sometimes different textures can kind of throw them off. So they might need to eat their mashed potatoes before moving on to their broccoli. Try to make meal time simple, relaxed, calm as possible. Be sure to allow enough time for the meals. Just know that mealtime should take about an hour. So don't try to rush them, try to encourage the whole process. And then ask the doctor if, your significant loved one or anybody has a significant weight loss in your community. You might want to check with the doctor as well about vitamin supplementation. Folks should be getting regular labs, and based on that, we can supplement with certain vitamins. Use different tastes, colors, and smells. So the smell of cooking, for example, freshly baked bread, that's going to stimulate memories as well as an appetite. Try different types of food and drinks with varying temperatures and textures, again, such as milkshakes. So you've got your sweet and creamy, and then potato wedges, which is salty, savory. Try not to overload the plate with too much food. So if they are normally, a small eater, we're not going to give them a big plate that's going to cause some anxiety and overwhelming. Consider serving maybe half portions to keep those foods hot that would like to be served hot. If we put a big portion of something on the plate, we know that, it takes them quite a lot of time to eat, then they might lose the appeal if the temperature of the food goes down during the process. Give the person food that they like. Remember that the person's food preferences may change, though, as their dementia progresses. Don't stop someone from eating dessert if they haven't eaten their savory meal. Again, it's all about food preferences. So if Mrs. Jones likes sweets, maybe, approach to her meal would be to offer desserts first. Don't assume the person has finished because they have stopped eating. You want to give them gentle reminders, ensure that they are truly finished with their meals before taking it away. Overeating or insatiable appetite is also a symptom of dementia. So it could be a result of just straight out boredom. But for this type of individual, you might have to do 5 or 6 smaller meals each day. So knowing that they're going to have a small breakfast with a snack in between, a small lunch, again, a snack in between. Have some low-calorie snacks available, things like fruits and veggies, apples, carrots. Consider whether other activities, perhaps as walking, or, maybe they just need to do a puzzle. Maybe they need to do something that will distract their mind from thinking of food. And then, again, leaving those healthy snacks available and around. It might do one of two things. It could deter them because they don't want anything healthy. But make sure the person does have something to do. Again, boredom, loneliness, it's going to lead to the comfort eating. Consider the person's life history. If they have times when they haven't known when the next meal is coming, it could cause them to overeat at a meal, just not knowing when it's going to come next. So just reminding them, hey, we're going to eat here in a few hours. Fill most of the plate with salads and vegetables, fruits, things like that. It's going to be high fiber. Fruits and veggies have 60 to 80% water, which helps with hydration. Make sure the person is well hydrated. I don't know if you guys have ever tried this, but next time you're hungry, try drinking a bottle of water. And it could have just been thirst, not necessarily the hunger um, of the resident. Leave bite-sized fruits or healthy snacks available. Again, chopped bananas, oranges, grapes. All of these are hydrating as well as sweet, and residents tend to like those. Offer the person a low-calorie drink instead of more food. So maybe they want something with flavor like a Crystal Light or some sort of flavored water instead of another piece of pie. And then consider not having certain foods available if it is an ongoing issue with weight gain. If the person has developed a strong preference to a particular food and is not eating enough of other foods, this may cause excessive weight gain. So again, just reach out to your general practitioner for a referral to the dietitian, and we can obviously help you with some low-calorie options. Cravings and dementia, again, depending on the person, people with dementia may crave sweets. They may enjoy a combination of flavors, whether that be salty and savory together. If you notice a change in our residents or loved ones' cravings, definitely check medications for side effects. Some antidepressants can cause cravings for sweets. And try to satisfy the cravings with foods that have some nutritional value. Milkshakes. I put super cereal, super mashed potatoes, super pudding. Anything that says super is just like a high calorie option. You would use basically half and half, or a heavy whipping cream in place of the milk when you're maybe creating oatmeal, add extra butter and sugar. Same with mashed potatoes and the puddings, eggnog, and ice cream. People with dementia often struggle to pick up or grip items. So the cutlery that they're trying to eat their food with, the glass they're trying to drink out of, they may also have trouble putting food into their mouth. They might not open their mouth. They might not recall how to open their mouth. So some people may have other conditions that affect their coordination. One that is popular is Parkinson's disease. So they would have excessive shaking, which would make it difficult for them to sit down and eat. This can lead to the person avoiding mealtimes altogether. Maybe they're embarrassed or they just want to avoid struggling in front of others. If the person is struggling with cutlery, such as a knife or fork or chopsticks, it is a good idea to cut up the food into smaller pieces so they can be eaten more easily, or perhaps, it has to do with just eating with a spoon versus stabbing something with a fork. Finger foods may help in those certain situations. If the person is still having difficulties, you may need to prompt them or guide them with your hand or their mouth to remind them how to do it. If this doesn't seem to help, an occupational therapist can get involved as well. And this is where they would recommend offering adaptive cutlery, whether it's weighted spoons, weighted forks, silverware, a lipped plate to help them actually get the food on the utensil. So definitely work with your general practitioner and contact occupational therapy or therapy in general if that continues to be an issue. Problems with mouth, chewing, and swallowing. So some problems with eating may relate to physical conditions of the mouth. Dry mouth or mouth discomfort from gum disease or ill-fitting dentures are common problems. So be sure that, this resident in particular has regular dental checkups. We want to make sure the gum, the teeth, the dentures, everything fits correctly, everything looks good and is healthy. Other options would be to moisten the food with gravies, sauces, if the mouth is dry or causing problems. For chewing problems, try light pressure on the lips or under the chin. Tell the person when to chew, demonstrate chewing, moistening the food, offering smaller bites one at a time. And then for swallowing problems, reminding the person to swallow with each bite, stroking the throat gently, checking the mouth to see if the food has been swallowed before giving them other foods. And then just not giving them hard to swallow items. Again, the smaller pieces, the moistened food tends to work the best if they do develop any chewing or swallowing issues. There might be behaviors related to eating. Behaviors such as pouring a glass of juice into a bowl of soup or eating dessert with a knife are signs that a person with dementia is having difficulty. So again, things that we could consider: serve one course at a time, remove other distracting items from the table, whether it is the extra cutlery or glasses or table decorations. Sometimes more is, less is more. Make sure the cutlery is plain, that there is color contrast. That's a big thing. If you have color contrast with your foods and the surface that they are eating on, it tends to help and takes a lot more. If the use of cutlery is too difficult, again, going back to that finger food, or just changing the texture of the foods to allow that to work better for the residents. Allow plenty of time to eat. Again, patience, keep noise or activities in the environment to a minimum, definitely during meal times, and make sure there's adequate lighting so they can see what they're eating. Eat with the person with dementia so they can follow your lead. Having communal dining is so important, especially with those with dementia, and then serving familiar foods to them. Some other strategies: keep eating simple. Not all food has to be eaten with cutlery. Finger foods can be nutritious and an easy alternative. Keep in mind a person's past history with food. So, maybe they've always been a small eater, so they might need smaller portions presented to them. Otherwise, they feel overwhelmed. Watch for food temperatures. While warm foods can be more appetizing, some people with dementia have lost the ability to judge whether a food or beverage is too hot or too cold. So be aware of the temperature of the food for the residents. Also, the use of foam cups can be dangerous. Definitely, they're very lightweight, easy to tip over. So, I recommend reusable dishware. Offer fluids. Regular drinks of water, juice, or other fluids are essential to avoid dehydration. Many people with dementia do not get enough fluids. In fact, all of us probably don't get enough fluids. But, they do forget to drink. They may not recognize the sensation of thirst anymore either. So just frequent reminders throughout the day. Being prepared for changes. Many of the eating problems with dementia may be temporarily, but they can change the person's ability as the disease continues and progress. You will see deterioration. So how to recognize dehydration? There are some things that may show a person is dehydrated. Increased confusion can be one of them. Dark and strong smelling urine, dry mouth, dry lips, dry eyes, headaches or dizziness, feeling tired, not using the restroom very often, fewer than 4 times a day, probably dehydrated. So leaving bottles or jugs of water within easy reach. This is especially important for people with limited mobility who aren't able to get up and make things themselves. Make drinking easier. Have a clear bottle so the person can see what's inside. This may not work with everyone or with water, but brightly colored cups to show attention to the beverage. Make sure the bottle is within the line of sight. Having a bottle that is suitable, not too heavy, not too oddly shaped where they can't get a grip on it. And also straws might also help. I know for me personally, if I have a straw, I can drink a lot more fluids. Sharing a drink together or making an activity, having a cup of tea. Oh, it's tea time. Come on, everybody. That will help if it's more than one person. Leave prompts and reminders. Again, make sure the person with dementia remembers to drink regularly, whether that's just a little sign next to their bed. All of these tactics can work in one way or another. And then provide high water content foods. So again, those fruits, those veggies that are 60 to 80% water to begin with. Supplement water and other drinks with foods that are high in fluids. There's a lot of different options out there: ice lollies, jelly, ice cream, soups, fruits that are mostly water, like watermelons. And then water sweets, such as jelly drops, can also help with personal hydration. It's basically like a candy if you've never seen it before. And on the inside, it has more of like a Gatorade, where it has electrolytes as well as water. The importance of communal dining. So communal dining is quintessential human experience. We, like I said before, are very social creatures. Eating regularly with others allows the residents to feel happier, be more trusting of the people around them, and feel more engaged in their communities. Food is served quicker. In a communal dining setting. So, if they come out of the room, they can eat with everybody else. It's going to be hotter. It's going to be a better quality, more fresh. And then eating together promotes better nutritional intakes, helps prevent weight loss, and assists in the overall well-being. Now, negative effects to solitary meals. Again, we're social creatures, so if a person cannot establish social networks, that is going to interfere with their overall well-being. If they have a lot of ruts or patterns or frustration, again, that's going to lead to unhealthy practices. Might make it awkward when you have a celebration where everyone comes together. The food is not as hot as it would have been in the dining room, causing decreased intakes. And then decreased intakes are going to lead to other health problems, such as weight loss, but lack of socialization and lack of involvement with their surroundings is huge. So you definitely want to focus on the enhancement of the meal experience as a community. You want to serve the things that your residents like. If you aren't frequently doing this now, I highly recommend on a monthly basis getting together with your residents and finding out what their favorite foods are so that you can put it on the menu. Meal times, to be honest, it's usually the highlight of many residents' day. It's a time for socialization. They're able to have some independence and just able to make some memories. So again, going back to those smells, fresh baked breads, desserts, soups, anything like that is going to cause stimulate to the appetite. Citrus smells, air fresheners, soap for the hands, any of that will stimulate your appetite. So this is a slide of, these are all pureed food items. So really take pride in the food that you're presenting as well. We all tend to eat with our eyes, but even if it is a puree consistency, we can make it look appetizing. Everything on this page, from the dessert to the grilled cheese to the cinnamon rolls, it can be done. These are all pureed items. So magnificent meal moments. So I just have a few quotes. One of the very nicest things about life is the way that we must regularly stop whatever it is we are doing and devote our attention to eating. So eating is something that we can't avoid. One cannot think well, love well, sleep well if one has not dined well. So again, just putting all of that into the dining that we provide to our residents. And keys to a healthy life. I mean, it's really plain and simple. There's no magic wand, but eating a balanced diet. So your diet is a very important part of a person's health. Diet can have a huge influence on controlling or eliminating high blood pressure, diabetes, heart disease. Of course, striving to eat more nutrient-dense foods, things that are natural, fruits and veggies, whole grains, is going to help overall with your well-being. Getting enough sleep, that's a huge thing. A lot of us don't get enough sleep. The National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute recommend that adults get 8 to 8.5 hours of sleep each night to optimize health. So a lot of us aren't doing that to begin with. But lack of sleep is going to increase other issues, heart attacks, high blood pressure, and can lead to serious health problems. So sleep is so important. Exercise. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services recommends adult exercise for 1.5 to 2.5 hours per week. It doesn't have to be intense. It could be as simple as a 15-minute walk after your meal, but it definitely has endless health benefits for you in the long run. And also doing some sort of strength exercising after the age of 40, just doing weights, doing squats, things like that will help enhance your muscle mass over the years, which is, again, going to lead to a healthier lifestyle. Don't smoke or drink regularly. As everybody probably already knows, those things lead to other illnesses, lung cancer, liver cancer, cirrhosis, a bunch of things that our bodies just aren't made to handle. So if you can avoid it, that's going to be your best bet. Manage your stress. Stress is linked with heart disease, high blood pressure, depression, anxiety, acne. There's all kinds of things that stress can induce with our bodies. So learning to control your stress to help you feel better every day, that's going to be very important. And making friends. Again, like I said, friends and family ties can improve both mental and physical health. People with strong social connections or family ties usually tend to live longer. They have stronger immune systems, and they suffer less mental decline as they age. So we as humans, we need people in our lives, whether it's friends or families, to help support and keep us going. And then getting regular checkups can help you spot little health problems. Being proactive about your health is also very important. And that's all I really have today.
Okay, so thank you, Sarah.
You're
so
welcome.
We'll open it up to questions and answers. I know you went through a lot of information pretty quickly. So if anyone has any questions for Sarah, you can either type it in the chat or raise your hand and I can take you off of mute. I think, Sarah, maybe would you mind, while we're giving people time to put some questions in the chat, would you mind talking about, you showed those pictures of the pureed food, why someone might need pureed food and how, like through dementia and the different types of dementia, when someone might start requiring that?
Yeah, I mean, there's basically with the progression of dementia, it just depends on the person. Everyone's a little bit different, but as the dementia progresses, it can lead to other things like dysphagia, where there's muscle weakness with swallowing, there's muscle weakness with chewing, pocketing food, things like that. So when you start to see those things, that would be a red flag to, okay, maybe we should get them evaluated. Maybe we should downgrade their diet, see if ground meats would help versus having to chew up those meats. The pureed foods, basically puree. You eat it and you don't, I mean, it's puree, so you don't need any chewing. It's already chewed for the resident. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely a part of the progression of dementia. And it's very common. So again, taking pride in the foods that you're offering and making things look appealing, even if they are ground or pureed, is very important as far as, resident rights and dignity go.
Thank you. And can you also speak a little bit on you know, a lot of times folks in the earlier stages of dementia might gain weight, and we tend to encourage that because as the disease progresses, they just tend to have some of that weight loss. Can you kind of speak to that a little bit?
Sure. So as the disease progresses, we tend to lose all of our senses. The last sense that we tend to keep is the taste of sweetness. So again, with the progression of the disease state, depends on every person's a little bit different, but initially having a little bit of a weight gain is going to help because as the disease progresses, we're going to see a less and less wanting to eat, wanting to partake, wanting to participate, and then the need for those mechanically altered diets.
Thank you. Jeff has a question in the chat. Are there general strategies for dealing with a picky eater, especially one whose preference is more unhealthy and more on the sweet foods?
Yeah, I mean, so here's the thing that we have to consider. The point of dementia, are we looking to have something more nourishing for that person, or can we combine things? You know, if they like chips and they like ice cream, can we maybe still have the chips, but then put a sandwich there with a little bit of protein, lettuce, things like that, and just create a balance for them? There are definitely picky eaters out there, and the best thing I can suggest is just working with their preferences and taking that into consideration, along with adding in some of those nutritious foods.
Thank you. Questions? Doesn't seem like there's any other questions. I know that we had a few people that joined us a little bit later. This presentation will be posted tomorrow on the Anthem YouTube page, as well as on the community's Facebook pages. So you can watch it if you came in a little bit late or you wanted to relook at things. And then there is a question that says, very helpful, can we share the slides? Are we able to share slides with folks? Okay.
Yeah,
You had a lot of excellent tips on those slides. Okay, so there's several questions that just popped up. Okay. So Vivian is asking, any suggestions for a later stage dementia loved one who is in denial?
Yeah. I mean, the best thing to do is just explain and educate the process to that loved one. I personally feel like dementia is harder on the family members than it is on the individual themselves who's going through it. So just, being a real person, letting them know, I understand your frustrations. This is what I've seen. This is my experience. Just meeting them where they are, I think, is most important, showing that you care.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Fran had more of a comment. It was, my mom is advancing in losing weight. She eats finger foods, gets full quickly. No questions, but I just want to thank you for the ideas. But I'm wondering with that, can you give I know you mentioned a couple of examples of finger foods, but would you mind sharing maybe a few other ideas for folks who their loved ones are at that stage and eating the finger foods? What other types of foods they might be able to serve?
Sure. I mean, when we think about foods, we think, okay, we have to have a fork to eat a green bean. But in this situation, if it's going to be easier for that person to grab the green bean, maybe it's just straining the fruits, having chunks of fruits that they can grab and put in their mouth, as well as fruits and veggies, just straining it. Doesn't have to be anything creative. You don't have to make everything into a sandwich necessarily. Um, there are definitely ways, you can take a cucumber and put some cream cheese on it and make different ideas that would appeal to your particular person. But I mean, anything that is you're able to pick up with your hand to me is considered a finger food. So think outside the box, most definitely. A lot of us are like, oh, I would never pick up a green bean, but you know, at this point, it's kind of, if it's going to work for them, let's try it and see how it goes.
Excellent. Christina's asking how you got the pureed food to look so pretty.
Well, on the slides, there is a link to a specific vendor that I've used in the past, Rubicon. So they actually have videos on how to make the foods look so pretty, and it's super easy. The product itself, it's like a breadcrumb product. And the reason I love it so much is because in the kitchen setting, it works so easily. Like you could take these breadcrumbs, add hot water right before tray line, put it in a pan, and then be able to cut different formations of the food. So it really just takes a little bit of effort, a little bit of education, but it's definitely doable and definitely worth it for the residents.
Great, thank you. We actually just had a group of our dining services directors today in training, learning how to make the pureed food look like that. So we're excited to see how that turns out. Yeah, Christina thought you were said she thought you were using special molds.
Yeah, those weren't special molds. It was just the texture of the bread and just cutting it a certain way in the pan. It's actually super easy to make it look like that. So.
Any other questions? No? Okay. Well, Sarah, we want to thank you for joining us today. And we're hoping to see everyone again next month. Oh, next month's webinar is going to be specific to spouses and couples. So we'll be getting that flyer out shortly, but just so everybody's aware of that. There's two things that just popped up. Okay, so there's one person who said the facility where my mother is living is doing everything correctly with the meals, but my mom is refusing to eat and doesn't want to go into the kitchen. This is a recent event. Any suggestions?
So she's refusing to go into the kitchen. Where
Or the dining area.
Or the dining area. Okay. I mean, it's really just meeting her where she is. So are there food preferences that maybe she would like more? Is there certain activities that she would enjoy to get out in that open setting prior to the meal? You just kind of have to meet them where they're at and go from there. And again, it's a recent event, so it might not last forever, but, just have patience and continue to try different things. If she enjoys crocheting, if she enjoys puzzles, you could try to get her in the communal area prior to the meal being served. See if that works. If it's not, come out because it's mealtime, come out because we're going to do an activity, and then it's right before the meal type situation.
Excellent. And then Christina's asking if the link is going to be available for the food.
Yes,
she said to make the food pretty.
Yeah, the link is on the slide. So once you guys get the slides, you can check out the link with the videos, and definitely should be able to help everybody. I see Fran, or maybe just eat where she's at. Exactly. That might just be the time frame right now where you eat where she's at and go from there. Oh, Fran, that has been tried. Yes. I mean, is it the discussion of the food that kind of deters her wanting to go in that area, Terry? I don't know.
Let's see. I'm gonna- Let me just see if we can unmute Terry in case he wants to.
I don't know, but when you're trying everything, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's all you can do. Just knowing that she has you for support and love is so much, more wonderful than other people's situations. So keep trying.
Okay. Well, excellent. Well, thank you, Sarah. Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. Again, we will have the slides available to you so you can get all the great tips that she shared, and we hope to see you again next month. So thank you, everybody.
All right, take care.
Thank you.